Jagex has put out a lot of really good changes to RuneScape 3 in their roadmap for the Road to Redemption. I see a lot of people talking about the reason for microtransaction removal and things like that, and I don't really think that's important. I think it's a net gain either way, and hopefully it can breathe some life back into a game that is surely lacking it. RuneScape is an amazing game on any version because there are just so many ways that you can play. One thing in particular that RuneScape is always praised for is their questing. And something that I'm guilty of, and I'm sure many of you are too, is just skipping all the dialogue and not paying attention to what's going on and then just going to the next quest until you get whatever reward it is that you're after. In this series, I don't want to do that. I'm going to take the game one quest at a time, no wiki, in story order until we finally get a quest cave. It's sort of just about playing the game and having fun, and I'd love to have you along with me. Welcome to Storytime. Like many scapers before us, our adventure begins in the Lumbridge kitchen. Speaking with the cook, we find he's in a tizzy because he has a cake to make for the Duke of Lumbridge. Naturally, as the head chef of a royal house of Mistlin, he has absolutely no idea where to source basic ingredients, and unluckily for him, his last assistant has quit. Now, he'll do here what any reasonable cook in his position would do, is ask the next random person who wanders into the kitchen to go and source ingredients for him. After agreeing to help, we head out to get some milk from a prized cow, a giant egg, and extra fine flour. And while the cook is happy to exploit our labor, apparently we cannot join the party because we are a peasant, but that is cook's assistant completed. The quest, The Blood Pact, begins in the Lumbridge graveyard when we speak with Xenia. She tells us about a young girl named Ilona who was kidnapped on her way to the Wizard's Tower by a group of Zamarakian cultists. She's tracked them down here to the Lumbridge crypts and needs our help because she is much too old to deal with this on her own. Oh yeah, and Xenia recognizes us from the future, by the way, so I guess she can see the future or something like that. After agreeing to help and heading down into the Lumbridge crypts, we get this cutscene that shows our three cultists, Kale, Caitlin, and their leader, Reese, discussing the plans they have with this whole ritual and kidnapping situation. And Kale starts showing some reservations about going through with this whole thing, but Reese says that he has to because because of the Blood Pact, which Xenia will tell us later that it's not real per se. There's no magic. It's not some unbreakable bond or anything like that. It basically just like a promise they made to him. After the cutscene, Reese and Caitlin head further into the crypts while Kale stays behind to keep watch. He ends up spotting us and taking a shot at Xenia. Although she only takes one damage, she finds herself unable to fight for the rest of the quest. That doesn't stop her, though, from backseating us the whole time. She's telling us what weapon to use and sort of nagging and sassing about all the choices that we make while she follows behind. But once Kale is defeated, he'll end up telling us that he didn't really want to do any of this. He didn't really know what he was getting himself into. But Reese told him he basically had to go through with it because of the Blood Pact. He also informs us that Caitlin is the one who pinged Ilona as the ritual victim because they both studied at the Wizard's Tower. I guess it was just like a girl from school she didn't like. And he also informs us that Reese was a former acolyte of the Lumbridge Church before this whole cult phase. After dealing with Kale, we head further into the crypts and are met by Caitlin. In defeat, she will reveal to us that she has discovered the notes of a man named Dragath Nern from her studies at the Wizard's Tower. These notes basically go over secret experiments in a hidden workshop beneath the Lumbridge crypts, and she later tells us that her ultimate plan with the cultists was to get into the workshop and learn the secrets of necromancy and ultimately immortality. It's around this time that Xenia will reveal to us that many years ago, she's actually the one that found out what Dragath was up to down here and managed to convince him to stop. He eventually agreed and abandoned his bad boy necromancy Zamarakian tendencies and accepted Sarah Doman into his life and helped build the Lumbridge catacombs. One, just to be a normal catacomb situation, but also to hide and prevent people from getting into the workshop because, it's nasty down there. And in the final room, we meet Reese, where all of this kind of gets put together, and we can see the full scope of the plan and how it all came to be. Essentially, Caitlin found the notes, like she mentioned, and she gives them to Reese. Reese, Caitlin, and their buddy Kale enter a blood pact, basically promising to sacrifice Ilona to open the workshop. And once the workshop was open, they planned on learning the secrets of necromancy, becoming immortal, and using all the spookies inside the workshop to take over Lumbridge. The game seems to suggest that we've thwarted this plan and that, like, everything is fine, but I'm really not so sure about that because, I mean, the workshop is definitely opened, so I'm not, no one seems to be concerned about this, so I guess I won't be either, but I don't really see what's stopping, like, anyone from coming down here and doing, like, the cultist plan without any prep time or work, and just sort of doing it and taking over Lumbridge. Maybe that's another quest. I don't know, but we're the hero. The Restless ghost begins in the Lumbridge church when Father Eric tells us that he needs help dealing with a ghost that is inside the Lumbridge graveyard. Super lucky for us, he has a friend that happens to be a ghost expert, and even luckier, he lives extremely close by, just in the Lumbridge swamp. Needing absolutely no further convincing, we head out to enlist the help of Father Uri. I'm not quite sure why Father Eric doesn't just ask Father Uri for help directly rather than, you know, asking for our help, since he doesn't know us and his friend is a literal ghost expert who lives, like, very close by, but far be it from us to question the intentions of a holy man. In speaking with Father Uri, we realize that he's kind of a dick, and also he can't leave his house just because he's vowed not to, which I can't help but respect. I think I may have a similar vow myself. We also find out that he's not really an actual ghost expert. Turns out he can just talk to them with a magical necklace and ask them what they want. With our Ghost Speak amulet equipped from Father Uri, we head back to the graveyard to actually discuss this whole situation with the ghost himself, and come to find out the dude's, like, super chill and, like, very polite, and I can't help but think that this guy was, like, king of Lumbridge or something. I mean, look at the plot size here of his personal grave compared to the actual, I mean, it takes up the same footprint as the entire catacombs. I mean, this guy must have been loaded or something, but at any rate, he's not sure why he hasn't moved on, but he figures it's probably because he doesn't have his head. He got attacked by a warlock back in the day when he was training his mining over in the Lumbridge mines, so he figures that maybe if we can get his head back, then maybe he can move on from being a ghost. Although I don't really see what Father Eric is concerned about him. He doesn't really seem to be bothering anybody, and seems pretty nice. Granted, they wouldn't know that without the amulet. We managed to find the ghost skull hidden under a rock near the Lumbridge mines. When we pick it up, we get attacked by a skeletal warlock, so we'll get revenge on him for our friend the Restless ghost. And upon returning the skull to the ghost's grave, he magic tornadoes himself off to heaven, firmly cementing our legacy as a ghost expert in the eyes of Father Eric, Father Uri, and likely all of Lumbridge. We stop in on old farmer Fred, and he tells us that black clothes are cool and that he needs help collecting 20 balls of wool. He also mentions this is not a quest, but it is a job.
Did you hear that, babe? I'm not unemployed anymore!
So we agree to help and head out to the sheep pen to get started. And as we're leaving, he's like, oh yeah, watch out for that black-hearted shapeshifter that's hungry for souls. We call it the Thing. No big deal. Imagine getting crashed while you're shearing sheep. Once we have 20 black wool, we head over to the Lumbridge spinning wheel to get those knocked out and turn into balls of wool so that we can turn them back in to Farmer Fred. An honest day's work has officially ended. And now we have a side hustle. We can shear these sheep as much as we want and sell the wool on the GE. A huge unlock for the account, no doubt. The quest The Demon Slayer starts off in the Saradomin Church in Varrock. Gideon Bede tells us that a dangerous wizard named Denoth has broken into the Edgeville Monastery and stolen a powerful tome of demonology. He plans to use this tome to summon a demon from the infernal dimension, Delrith, with an oddly specific ability to destroy cities, and he is also immune to all forms of damage that are not from a legendary sword called Arclight. In a turn of good fortune, we learn that Arclight is actually right here beneath our feet in the church's crypts, so while we head off to retrieve the sword, Gideon goes to search for Dennis. Once we enter the crypts, we see there are several spirits guarding Arclight, and we have to pass their trials in order to prove worthy to wield the sword. A couple of ghost trials shouldn't really be too big of a deal. I'm not sure if they're aware of this, but I am indeed a ghost expert. The body trial is a combat challenge where we have to defeat a bunch of skeletons. The faith trial tests our cardinal direction knowledge as well as following basic directions. The mind trial tests our basic cognitive function and to ensure that we can remember things we were told just very recently. And after completing these 3 trials, we are officially a weapon of the church. After leaving the crypt, we find a note left by Gideon that says that he's found Deneth and he's tracked him to the Temple of Zamrock. With Arclight in tow, we head out to give him a hand. We meet Gideon in the crypts underneath the Temple of Zamorak and begin fighting our way through rooms of cultists. Now, each one of these guys is dropping cooked meat, and a lot of people might be concerned about the creepy underground cultists dropping loose bits of meat. But I'd like to think this was a pretty joyous occasion for these guys, finally being able to summon like a legendary demon to destroy Varrock. So my assumption is they probably just had like a cookout or something before we got here. And that would also explain why these guys are so easy to beat. I mean, have you ever tried spellcasting with a mouthful of brisket or a handful of ribs? If so, please invite me to your next barbecue. We arrive late at the summoning only to catch the tail end of it. Honestly, nothing screams loyal servant like dipping out as soon as your ritual is done, but I guess that's probably a fair play. These guys always die first in movies and stuff. With Gideon's help, we managed to defeat Delrith and escape just in the nick of time and save Varrock from sure destruction. And that's all for today. Not the most exciting quest yet, but we're just getting started. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you want to stay up to date for episode 2, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.